Hey everybody, today we're switching things up a little bit. So it's still going to be 10 minutes with me, but I'm going to be asking the questions this week and you get to answer them all. So it's going to be a little bit different, but it'll be a lot of fun.
And a lot of the questions were online too, on social media. So thanks for sending those in.
Yep, people sent them in and then I came up with a couple zingers for you.
Can't wait.
So we're going to start off with someone asked, they said they have a lot more time and they want some book resources to go through as a couple.
Yeah, we got a couple to recommend. Natalie will start us off.
All right, the first one is Mingling of Souls by Matt Chandler. This is something that Daniel and I take couples through in premarital. It's something we've read also. And he covers from starting with attraction all the way through marriage. And he has a lot of really practical, amazing things that we've applied in our marriage to this day.
Yeah. I think it's a great book for those who are single too. If you're single, maybe you're in a dating relationship, engaged, it's great. But we were married when we read it, and we were encouraged too. So awesome book, easy read, and it's funny. He's great. Another one we talked about, the Love and Respect class that we have at the church. There's a book that you can actually buy called Love and Respect. You can start going through it. But at the church, they have a video and workbook that you go through too. So you can sign up for that for this fall. You can actually even purchase the DVDs online for like $100 if you wanted to go through it now. It'd be a great gift for family members, your kids. It's a good resource. Also, Natalie and I read this book a couple years ago. It's called Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas, over 250,000 sold. But what if God designed marriage to make us holy more than to make us happy? So that's a great resource. And then another one, if you really want kind of a deeper theology in regards to marriage, going back to Ephesians 5, it's The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller. This is a great book, and I recommend this one as well. Any more that you have to add?
Yeah, I was going to throw in a couple. There's one called 131 Creative Conversations for Couples. So it's a nice kind of a thing that, hopefully this won't go that long, but you can keep doing this after we're freed.
We should get that one.
So that was a really neat one that I thought would be.
And we try to go through one book a year. That's a goal that we have. So we're always looking for new resources and looking for ways to make our marriage better.
Yeah.
Great. So now to some of the questions that they sent in. One of them was, is the biblical equivalent of dating betrothal?
Yeah. That's a great question. Betrothal in the Bible was actually more of an equivalent to engagement. It was where they were 100% committed to each other without them having sex. So their finances, they're together. The only way to break that apart was to have a divorce. So even our engagement's not to that point, but it's a commitment to each other. They're going to get married. It's the step right before marriage. Anything to add to that?
I just think it's one of the things that's interesting to remember is that so many of the things in the Bible are cultural more than mandates from God. And sometimes sorting those out is difficult.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to take the principles from the concepts there that are cultural. And like that exclusivity is a neat principle to bring from that.
That's well said.
So the next question, is dating to try out different relationships instead of being led by the Spirit to find someone, not trusting the Lord?
I like dating. Not now.
Well, we date.
I know.
Only each other.
Only each other. But I think dating, you're trying to figure out who you like, what you like, and I think you can do it in a biblical way, where it's not like, well, I'm not going to date. There's only going to be one person I'm going to marry, and that's it. I think group dating is a great way to start because you're more of yourself in a group, and I think it protects you from falling too hard for someone in that moment too quickly. I think that's the biggest concern with dating is that you can fall so hard for someone and make decisions that maybe you didn't want to make, and now you're dealing with a lot of emotional hurt when you could have saved yourself from it. So, yes, I'm for dating. Be safe. Have parameters and boundaries. That would be my thought.
Yeah.
Matt?
So yeah, it was for us in the beginning. It was definitely like we surrounded ourselves with our group of friends, and we would even go to church together. But I think for me, what was really important was like seeing them in different environments and how they would respond to things that were out of their control. You can really see someone's character when things go wrong. And then also spending time with their family and seeing how even Daniel interacted with his mom and his sister. I mean, that was huge for me. And then seeing if they have long-lasting relationships. So there's ways to test and approve if that's the person that God has for you within your own relationship with God. So for me, being with Daniel and dating him, my relationship with God was actually growing stronger, and we were sharpening each other. I think that's another way to test and improve it. But I don't think it's wrong to date multiple people and see if that's the person God has for you, and making sure that you're asking God that. God, show me, is this who you have for me? Is this going to be a marriage that is bringing you glory? So those were things I was mindful of.
Yeah, and we see the problem because we did youth ministry for many years. Sometimes people date just because they're bored. They know they're not going to marry them,
Sure.
And you're still with them. I would say you should never date someone that you know you don't want to be with.
Yeah.
Because that whole time you're dating, you're also thinking, okay, God, is this what you want? I think you're asking your parents, hey, can you see me with this person? You're asking your friends because you're in the process of wanting to be with someone that you can marry. So it's this aspect of yes, date, but also be led by the Lord and be seeking Him during that time frame. Anything to add?
Well, that kind of leads into my next question. Do you believe that God chooses who will marry?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get that one a lot. And we may even all differ in here. I'm on the end that I believe God does choose who we are going to marry, and that even if someone chooses the wrong person, maybe in an act of disobedience, it's all under the sovereignty of God. So I mean, there's a verse in Proverbs that says, "Houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from the Lord." That you didn't choose that. That was given to you by God. But at the same time, I know there's people who don't follow the Lord. They may marry someone that maybe they shouldn't have married, but somehow that was involved in God's plan. So you still have to be obedient to go after someone that God desires. But I believe that God's involved in everything and will use all things for His glory. I talked a lot. Anything to
Yeah, I
disagree
was
or
like,
change?
you covered even my answer a little bit there.
Just went for it.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that.
All right then. You don't have to argue it.
Well, I'm not trying to argue it. I agree that everything is under God's sovereignty, but I do believe there's a little bit of wiggle room in disobedience and then where that might lead.
Yeah.
But yes, I think He can still work all things for good.
Yeah, because that's Scripture.
I agree more with Natalie. I think that in our disobedience, we can make really dumb decisions, and then God has to redeem that for us sometimes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether or not we think God chooses the spouse for us or we choose. We all are going to be held responsible for the decisions that we make, and we need to choose someone that's going to love the Lord and follow Him and do our best to seek His will and what He desires for us. You all agree to that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Definitely agree on that one.
Next question.
So, what was your favorite thing when you were dating?
Besides making out?
Daniel.
What? What? I mean, that's true. No, it wasn't just that. It was getting to know you.
Just know my heart.
I think I would agree. Dating.
Dating. Yeah, I think getting creative on our dates. Daniel was always good at figuring out my interests, and I don't know, like he took me to, our first date was at a baseball game, San Francisco Giants, and Barry Bonds was about to tie the home run record. And so, I mean, he even threw in there, like, if he does it, like, are you going to allow me to kiss you? And, like,
Just how to feel where we're at
Yeah.
on the first date.
I think he even said, like, oh, my friends are texting me asking. And just to, like, test the waters a little bit, and I shut it down. Like, no, this is a first date. Like, not going to
She
happen.
made it clear.
And he tied the home run record. So
Yeah, it was an
it was
awesome-
a good memory for us. But we also were foodies. We loved to go out to a nice meal. And
Yeah. We had fun dates. We went salsa dancing
Yeah.
at a club in LA. I think the dating aspect, it's all the new things. So getting to know someone new, getting to know our families, getting to know our relationship with the Lord and how we think and act. I mean, that's a part of it. And I mean, we fell in love with each other. So not all of our dating experiences with other people ended well. I mean, obviously we didn't marry them. So the thing is, it's worth it. There's some fun aspects to it, and we actually had a great dating relationship.
yeah.
Someone asked about dating during this whole COVID pandemic.
I can't imagine.
What kind of things can you think about that might help?
Dating during this pandemic, what would I do? I think that'd be very hard for the dating couple and for the parents to make sure they don't sneak out to want to be together. I think this is a great time for you to get creative. I think you could do meals online through Zoom. I think you can still meet up legally now and go for a hike and social distance. Good luck with that. I think I could picture myself wanting to talk to the person every day on FaceTime or Zoom.
Yeah, at least.
I think you just have to be so careful not to put yourself in a situation where you're online and you're even tempted to have conversations that are not appropriate, or to even do things online that are not appropriate. And I think that would be a challenge for anybody. I think it would be.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, I think there's apps where you can play games together. Like there's that Joe Box one, and there's the House Party. And I think that, yeah, I agree with you. You can be creative. You can drop off flowers. You can still figure out ways to connect in an appropriate manner.
Yeah.
What do you think, Trey?
I think one of the important things to remember is that we're tempted to not kind of follow the regular levels of intimacy when you're doing that. You start talking to someone every day because you have every day to do that, then all of a sudden it pushes that intimacy forward maybe more than the trust is there. So always letting the intimacy follow the trust is important, and it's easy to forget that when you're just Zooming or when you're talking to someone every day on FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes sense.
So what is the best simple thing that your spouse does for you that you really appreciate?
For me right now, he makes a pot of coffee for me before I wake up, and he sets my mug out next to it. And when I come downstairs, it's there ready to go. And I don't know, it makes my day.
Good. Sorry I didn't do that this morning. I went to work super early today.
You had coffee here.
I know, sorry.
No,
I like when she puts my clothes away. So I like that, and just even takes the initiative to do something I wouldn't expect her to do.
So final question is a two-part question. What's the best and worst marital advice you ever got?
That's a tough question to think through. I would say the best advice that we've gotten, one were the neutral Tuesdays, where we choose one day a week and mention one good thing and one thing that the other person can work on, and we're in the right mindset for that. I feel like that's helped us a lot and has saved us from a lot of fights. And then also we were challenged to get away 2 to 3 times, or not 2 to 3 times, one time a year for 2 to 3 days. And we've done that every year, and we look forward to it, and we have a blast. And it's just nice to look forward to.
Yeah, you remember how much you like each other.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I look
Without-
forward. Hopefully we can do that this summer.
Totally. Yeah.
And then, well, you say the good thing, and then we'll both say the hard thing.
Yeah, I think dating each other, making sure that you keep the fire going. And I remember Tom saying that was one of his pet peeves, is when he would do marriage counseling, how they would say like, oh, over time, like, doesn't do you get less romantic, or I expect it to die out? Where he's saying, why would you expect that? Like, keep it going and make sure you're dating each other.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. And the worst advice that I've ever gotten, I think it's probably the same for both of us, of just people telling us that in the beginning, marriage is just so hard.
Yeah.
It's just so hard. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? It's going to be hard. Where it's like, really, that's the first thing that you're going to tell a newlywed couple, just how hard it is? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of great things about marriage. And I think things that you can encourage and excite people, and not just say it's hard. Now, is it hard? I mean, yeah. At times it is. Mm-hmm. And then I also think people just downplaying the aspect of your intimacy with each other. I think still some people don't prioritize that. And I even knew some people were just talking about, yeah, it wasn't as good as I thought it was in regards to sex. And I remember thinking, what are you talking about? It's better than what I thought it was. And I think we've been very intentional to make sure that's an important part of our marriage. So we tell other people to make it an important part of their marriage too. Mm-hmm. Anything to add? No. All right. We're on the same page.
Great. Well, thank y'all so much. It was great answers to all of that. Great information. And we will see y'all next week.